Before 2026 ever hands you a result, before it shows you a breakthrough, before it gives you evidence, it is going to ask you one dangerous question. What do you believe when there is nothing in your hands yet? Because belief does not wait for proof. Belief moves first. Belief wakes you up when nobody is clapping. Belief keeps you standing when the scoreboard says you are losing. Belief is not loud on social media, but it is loud in the dark when nobody sees the work. And most people never get what they want in life, not because they are incapable, but because they refuse to believe before the evidence shows up. They want results to convince them. They want success to motivate them. They want comfort to create confidence, but life does not work like that. Life demands belief as a down payment, and if you are not willing to pay it, you will never qualify for what you are praying for. Belief is not a feeling. It is a decision you make when everything around you is screaming the opposite. When your bank account looks empty, when your friends doubt you, when your family doesn't understand you, when the timeline feels slow and unfair, belief is saying, I'm still going to show up. Belief is saying, I'm still going to work. Belief is saying, I'm still going to prepare, even when nobody is watching. Because belief understands something most people miss, that results are a lagging indicator. They always show up after the work, never before it. And if you wait to see it before you believe it, you've already lost the race. You don't wake up one day confident. You wake up committed, and commitment produces confidence over time. Belief is built when you keep promises to yourself, when you do what you said you would do, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's boring. And every time you break a promise to yourself, you weaken your belief. And every time you keep one, you strengthen it. That's why belief is not magic. It's discipline repeated daily. It's habits done quietly. It's standards upheld when excuses would be easier. 2026 is not waiting to see how talented you are. It's waiting to see how consistent you are. Because talent without belief quits early. Talent without belief gets distracted. Talent without belief starts strong and fades fast. But belief turns ordinary people into unstoppable forces. Belief makes you study longer, practice harder, sacrifice more. Belief makes you walk away from comfort because you are addicted to purpose. Belief doesn't need applause because it is already convinced. Some of you have been waiting for a sign, waiting for confirmation, waiting for someone to tell you now is your time. But belief doesn't wait for permission. Belief gives itself the green light. Belief says, even if nobody believes in me, I will still believe in me. Even if nobody supports me, I will still support myself with action. Even if nobody understands my vision, I will still protect it, because belief understands that the world always claps late. The world celebrates after the work is done, never before. You say you want 2026 to be different, but different results require different beliefs. You cannot carry old doubts into a new year and expect new outcomes. You cannot talk negative, think small, act average, and then pray big. Belief demands alignment. Your thoughts, your words, your habits, your standards all have to agree with what you say you want. And if they don't, belief is exposed as wishful thinking. Belief shows up in how you respond to setbacks, not in how you celebrate wins, when you fail and still get back up, when you lose and still learn, when you fall behind and still push forward. That is belief in motion, because belief understands failure is not a verdict. It's feedback. It's information. It's part of the process. And people without belief see failure as a stop sign, while people with belief see it as a lesson. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to believe enough to take the next step, and then the next one, and then the next one, because momentum is built through movement, not through overthinking. And belief creates movement. Belief creates action. Belief creates momentum, and momentum creates results. But it all starts before anything changes on the outside. Right now, somebody else with less skill, less intelligence, less opportunity is passing you because they believe more than you do. They trust themselves more than you do. They are willing to bet on themselves when you are still waiting for certainty. And certainty never comes before belief. It comes after commitment, after consistency, after sacrifice, after pain. If you really want 2026 to deliver something different, you have to stop negotiating with your doubts. Stop entertaining your fears. Stop giving your excuses a microphone, and start feeding your belief daily through action, through discipline, through preparation, through repetition, because belief starved will die and belief fed will grow, and whatever you feed the most will control your future. Belief before results results means you work like it's already yours. You prepare like it's already happening. You show up like it's already decided, not arrogantly, but intentionally, not loudly, but relentlessly, because belief is not about hype. It's about habits. It's about standards. It's about refusing to quit when quitting would make sense to everybody else. And that kind of belief changes timelines, changes identities, changes lives. At some point, you have to understand that greatness does not come with an invitation. Success does not knock on your door and ask if you are ready. And destiny does not wait until you feel comfortable. Because the moment you start asking for permission is the moment you hand your power to someone else. And most people are stuck, not because they lack ability, but because they are waiting for approval that is never coming, waiting for validation from people who are just as afraid as they are, waiting for the right time, the right mood, the right circumstances, when deep down they already know what they need to do. Permission is a trap. It looks responsible, but it is really fear in a polite outfit. It sounds mature, but it is actually insecurity trying to protect itself. Because when you ask for permission, you give yourself an excuse to stay small, to delay, to hesitate, and to blame someone else if it does not work out. But ownership does not ask. Ownership decides. Ownership moves. Ownership accepts the risk and the responsibility at the same time. You were not born needing approval to breathe. You were not born needing confirmation to walk. You fell, you stood up, you tried again, and nobody had to tell you that you were allowed to learn. But somewhere along the way, society trained you to wait your turn, to stay in line, to be reasonable, to not want too much. And that training slowly disconnected you from your instinct to act, to initiate, to create, to lead yourself. If you are waiting for someone to tell you that you are ready, you will wait forever, because readiness is not a feeling. It is a decision. And the people who win are not the most prepared. They are the most willing to start before they feel confident, willing to move before they feel certain, willing to look foolish before they look successful, because confidence is built after action, not before it. Stop asking your friends if you should start. Stop asking your family if it is safe. Stop asking your past if it failed before, because your future does not need a vote from your comfort zone. And every time you ask someone for permission, you are subconsciously asking them to carry the risk for you. But nobody else can live your consequences. Nobody else can chase your purpose. Nobody else can fulfill your potential. There are people who will never clap for you until it works, and some who will never clap at all. And if their opinion determines your movement, your life will always be on pause, because the world respects action more than intention, and momentum more than opinions. And once you start moving, once you commit, once you put skin in the game, the same people who doubted you will suddenly say they always believed in you. Permission keeps you average, because average feels safe. Average feels familiar. Average does not threaten anyone, but greatness disrupts. Greatness makes people uncomfortable. Greatness challenges norms. And if you are waiting for permission to be great, you are already disqualified, because the path to something extraordinary is always lonely at the beginning, always misunderstood, always questioned. You do not need a title to lead. You do not need a guarantee to start. You do not need everyone to understand your vision. You only need the courage to take responsibility for your choices, because the moment you stop asking for permission is the moment you step into ownership. And ownership forces you to grow, to adapt, to learn, to become stronger than your excuses. Fear loves permission because it delays exposure, it delays failure, it delays accountability, but it also delays success, growth, and transformation. And time does not wait for you to feel brave. Time moves whether you move or not. And every year you hesitate becomes a year you cannot get back. The people you admire did not wait until it felt safe. They moved while scared. They acted while doubting. They jumped without seeing the whole picture, and they figured it out on the way down, because clarity comes from engagement, not from sitting on the sidelines analyzing possibilities. If 2026 is going to be different, it will not be because someone finally gave you permission. It will be because you stopped asking, because you trusted yourself enough to decide, because you accepted that failure is not fatal, but regret is, and that staying stuck is far more dangerous than trying and falling. You cannot outsource belief. You cannot borrow courage, and you cannot rent confidence. You have to generate it through action, through responsibility, through ownership. And every time you choose to move without permission, you reinforce the identity of someone who leads their own life, not someone who waits to be chosen. Right now, there is an idea inside you that does not need approval, a goal inside you that does not need consensus, a calling inside you that does not need permission. It only needs movement. And the moment you stop asking and start doing, everything changes. Your energy changes. Your posture changes, your mindset changes, because action silences doubt and momentum makes fear irrelevant. Some of you have been blaming places, people, situations, and circumstances for too long, and it feels justified because what you were born into was not fair, what you were surrounded by was not supportive, and what you were exposed to did not encourage growth. But at some point, you have to realize that environment explains where you started, not where you are going. And if you allow it to define your future, you give power to something that was never meant to control you. Your zip code does not decide your finish line. Your background does not get to write your ending. Your past does not have authority over your potential unless you keep giving it permission. Because environment can influence you, but it does not have to imprison you. And the moment you understand that is the moment responsibility shifts back into your hands. Many people confuse explanation with excuse. Yes, your environment was tough. Yes, the odds were against you. Yes, resources were limited. But explanation is meant to give you awareness, not a lifetime pass to stay stuck. And the people who break out are not the ones with the best environments. They are the ones who refuse to let environment become an identity. You are not your neighborhood. You are not your family's limitations. You are not the habits you watched growing up. You are not the mindset that surrounded you. Those things shaped your starting point, but they do not have the right to shape your ceiling unless you accept them as truth. The truth is, environment only wins when you stop challenging it, when you stop questioning it, when you stop believing there is more available to you, because the first escape from a limiting environment is mental. Before you ever move physically, you have to move psychologically. You have to believe that there is another way to live, another standard to operate at, another level to reach. Some of you are still trying to grow in the same soil that keeps poisoning your roots. Same conversations, same distractions, same negativity, same habits, same influences, and you are wondering why nothing changes. But growth demands separation, elevation demands adjustment, and transformation requires new inputs. You cannot expect a different future while feeding on the same environment daily. What you listen to, what you watch, who you spend time with, what you tolerate, what you normalize, all of it is shaping you, either pushing you forward or pulling you back. And the scary part is most people never audit their environment. You do not need to escape overnight. You just need to start evolving daily, thinking differently, acting differently, choosing differently, because momentum is built through small wins, and small wins compound into massive change. Your environment may have shaped your struggle, but it does not get to define your destiny unless you let it. And the moment you decide that it no longer controls your thinking, your effort, and your belief is the moment you start stepping into a future that looks nothing like where you came from. Most people wait to feel motivated before they move, and that is exactly why they stay stuck, because motivation is emotional. It rises and falls. It shows up when conditions are good and disappears when pressure arrives. But consistency does not care how you feel. Consistency shows up tired, bored, frustrated, uninspired, and that is why consistency always beats motivation in the long run. Motivation is exciting. It gives you a rush. It makes you start fast. It makes you talk big. But consistency is quiet. It is repetitive. It is unglamorous, and it does not get applause. And because it is not exciting, most people abandon it early, not realizing that the life they want is hidden inside the routines they keep avoiding. You don't need to feel ready to be consistent. You need to be disciplined enough to act without emotion, because your feelings will lie to you. Your mood will change. Your energy will fluctuate, but your goals do not care how you feel today. They only respond to what you do repeatedly. Every successful person you admire learned this lesson the hard way, that waiting on motivation is a dangerous habit, because motivation comes after progress, not before it. You get motivated when you see results, but you only see results when you stay consistent long enough for them to show up. Consistency is choosing to show up on the days you feel nothing, on the days you feel discouraged, on the days you feel behind, because those are the days that separate the serious from the curious. Anyone can work when they are inspired. Very few people work when it feels pointless. You don't lose success in one day. You lose it by breaking small promises repeatedly, by skipping when it's inconvenient, by quitting when it's uncomfortable. And those small breaks slowly erode trust with yourself. And once you stop trusting yourself, belief collapses. Consistency is how you rebuild that trust. Every time you show up when you said you would, you send a signal to your mind that you are reliable, that you are disciplined, that you can be counted on, and that internal trust becomes confidence over time. People think consistency means intensity, but it doesn't. It means sustainability. It means doing what you can do every day, not what looks impressive once in a while, because intensity burns out and consistency compounds. And compounding is how average effort turns into extraordinary results. You don't need perfect conditions to be consistent. You need standards. Standards that say, this is who I am and this is what I do regardless of how I feel. And once your behavior becomes identity-based, consistency becomes easier because you are no longer negotiating with yourself. Most people negotiate daily. Should I do it today? Should I skip today? Should I start tomorrow? And that mental debate drains more energy than the work itself. Consistency removes debate. It removes choice. It becomes automatic, and automation is powerful. The reason consistency feels hard at first is because your old habits are fighting for survival. Your comfort zone does not want to lose control. But if you push through the early resistance, consistency starts working for you instead of against you. Consistency also exposes excuses because excuses sound reasonable until they are repeated. And when you hear yourself using the same excuse over and over, you realize the problem is not circumstances, it is commitment. You cannot build momentum by starting over every Monday, every month, every year. Momentum is built by continuing, by staying in motion, by refusing to reset just because you had a bad day. Consistency understands that one bad day does not cancel the process. Success is not built on perfect streaks. It is built on quick recoveries, on getting back on track fast, on not letting one mistake turn into a season of excuses. And consistency trains you to recover instead of restart. When motivation fades, consistency carries you. When excitement disappears, consistency keeps you moving. And when results are slow, consistency protects you from quitting too early. The world celebrates outcomes but ignores processes. And because of that, most people chase results instead of routines. But results are rented and routines are owned. And the rent is due every day. Consistency does not care if anyone is watching. It does not care if anyone is clapping. It does not care if anyone understands your vision. It only cares that you show up again and again and again. Over time, consistency sharpens skill, builds stamina, strengthens discipline, and rewires identity. And one day people will call you lucky, not knowing how many ordinary days you stack to get there. If you want 2026 to be different, stop waiting to feel like it and start committing to act like it, because motivation will make you start. But consistency is what will make you unstoppable. Most people pray for growth but panic when pain shows up, not realizing that pain is not punishment. It is payment. It is the price of becoming someone you have never been before. And nothing valuable comes without cost. Nothing meaningful develops without pressure. Nothing strong is built without resistance, because comfort never created greatness and ease never produced excellence. Pain is not the enemy. Avoiding pain is, because the pain you refuse to face today becomes a limitation you live with tomorrow. And the pain you accept, endure, and learn from becomes the strength that carries you forward. But too many people quit the moment discomfort appears, thinking something is wrong, when in reality, something is finally working. Growth hurts because it stretches you beyond who you are used to being. It demands new habits, new thinking, new discipline, and your old self fights back. Your comfort zone resists, your excuses get louder, and your fears become more convincing. But that internal resistance is a sign that transformation is taking place. Every level has a price. And pain is the tuition. If you want more responsibility, more confidence, more success, more impact, you have to pay for it with effort, sacrifice, and discomfort. And the problem is not that people don't want success. The problem is they want it without paying the full cost. Pain teaches lessons comfort never could. It humbles you. It sharpens you. It exposes your weaknesses and forces you to strengthen them. It shows you what matters and what doesn't. And the people who grow the most are not the ones who avoid pain, but the ones who extract wisdom from it. You don't build resilience by winning all the time. You build it by falling and getting back up, by being tested and not breaking, by being tired and still showing up, because resilience is earned through struggle, not gifted through ease. Some of the strongest people you admire were shaped in moments they didn't post about, seasons they didn't celebrate, nights they didn't talk about, pain they didn't escape from but endured. And while others were looking for shortcuts, they were paying full price. Pain has a way of stripping illusions. It forces you to confront reality. It removes entitlement. It kills excuses, and it demands honesty, because when things hurt, you can no longer pretend. You either grow or you quit, and quitting feels easier in the moment but costs you later. There is pain that destroys and pain that develops, and the difference is choice. Destructive pain comes from avoidance, denial, and repetition of the same mistakes. But developmental pain comes from discipline, effort, and intentional growth. One weakens you and the other strengthens you. You don't get stronger by wishing the weight was lighter. You get stronger by lifting it repeatedly. And life works the same way. The pressure you are under right now is building capacity, endurance, and character if you don't run from it. Pain also builds appreciation. It makes you value progress. It makes you respect the journey. It makes you grateful for wins that once seemed small, because when you have struggled, you understand what it costs to move forward. Some of you are asking why it has to be so hard, why the road feels heavy, why the progress feels slow. But the difficulty is not random. It is shaping you into someone who can handle what you are asking for. Because if success came too easily, you would not be ready to keep it. Pain introduces you to your limits and then dares you to push past them. It shows you how much more you can endure, how much stronger you can become, how much deeper your discipline can go. And every time you survive a hard season, you walk away more capable than before. People who avoid pain stay fragile, easily shaken, easily discouraged, easily defeated. But people who embrace growth pain develop toughness, patience, and mental strength. And those qualities matter more than talent when pressure rises. Pain is also honest. It doesn't flatter you. It doesn't lie to you. It tells you exactly where you need to improve, where you are undisciplined, where you are inconsistent, and where you are avoiding responsibility. And if you listen instead of resisting, it becomes a teacher. You cannot skip the tuition and still earn the degree. You cannot bypass the struggle and still claim the strength. And you cannot avoid the pain and still expect transformation, because growth demands payment in advance. Every sacrifice you make, every uncomfortable decision you choose, every hard conversation you face, every disciplined action you repeat, you are paying tuition for a future version of yourself that can stand under pressure without collapsing. The pain you feel today is not meant to stop you. It is meant to shape you, to prepare you, to qualify you. And once you understand that, pain loses its power to intimidate you and becomes fuel instead. If you want 2026 to elevate you, you have to stop asking for easy and start asking for growth, because the pain you survive now becomes the strength you rely on later. You were not created by accident, and every moment you have been alive has led to this point for a reason. Because God designed you with a purpose, a responsibility, and a mission. And that purpose is bigger than your comfort, bigger than your fears, bigger than the doubts people have cast on you, and bigger than the limitations you see around you. Because when you understand that you were created intentionally, you stop seeing life as random and start seeing it as a series of opportunities to fulfill what was placed inside you. Too many people live aimlessly, drifting through life like a ship without a rudder, waiting for permission, waiting for direction, waiting for signs, and never realizing that their very existence carries a blueprint, a calling that only they can execute, a responsibility that nobody else can fulfill, and a mission that will remain incomplete unless they decide to take ownership of it. God did not make you small. He did not create you to blend in. He did not design you to shrink to fit expectations that are too small, because purpose is not about comfort. Purpose is about contribution. Purpose is about walking into the world with boldness, with courage, with discipline, and with faith, knowing that you have been equipped to overcome obstacles, endure trials, and rise above limitations. Your responsibility is not optional. It is not negotiable. It is not something that can be delegated, because there are gifts inside you that the world will never experience unless you step up. Because every time you ignore your calling, every time you compromise your potential, every time you settle for less than what you were made for, the world loses out on the impact that only you can make. And that is why excuses are dangerous, because they steal destiny. Mission requires clarity, and clarity comes from commitment, not from waiting for inspiration, not from waiting for perfect conditions, not from waiting for someone to tell you that you are ready, because you were born ready. You were created equipped. And the question is whether you will act or not, whether you will trust yourself, whether you will step into the plan that has been designed for you. Faith is not passive. It is not sitting and hoping things will work out. Faith is movement. Faith is action. Faith is showing up even when the path is unclear, even when the odds are stacked, even when the world says you cannot, because believing that you were created for a purpose is only valuable if it produces action, if it produces discipline, if it produces courage. Your life matters because God put a mission in you that is needed in this world. And responsibility is the bridge between intention and impact, because having gifts and ignoring them is a form of betrayal to the very design that gave you life. And it is time to stop betraying yourself. Stop settling, stop shrinking, and start stepping into what was always meant to be. Purpose is not about fame. Purpose is not about recognition. Purpose is about alignment. Purpose is about using your time, your energy, your talent, your influence to make a difference, to solve problems, to lift people, to inspire those around you. And when you operate in purpose, the challenges of life become opportunities. The obstacles become lessons, and the setbacks become stepping stones. Responsibility requires courage because it will ask you to do things that others refuse to do, to go where others fear to go, to work harder, longer, smarter, and to make sacrifices that will be unseen by those who are not willing to pay the price. Because the cost of ignoring your mission is far greater than the cost of pursuing it, and the pain of regret is heavier than the discomfort of discipline. Mission demands focus because distraction is the enemy of destiny, and every choice you make either moves you closer to the purpose you were created for or pulls you away from it. And the difference between ordinary people and extraordinary people is that the extraordinary ones consistently choose what aligns with their calling, while others choose what feels easier, more comfortable, or more convenient. God has equipped you with everything necessary to fulfill your purpose, with talents, with resilience, with creativity, with intellect, with passion, and with strength. And the only thing standing in the way of your mission is your willingness to act, to trust, to endure, and to fight through the resistance that will inevitably arise. Because anyone who steps into purpose faces challenges, but those challenges are not punishments. They are signposts. They are indicators that you are on the right path. Every day you wake up, you have a choice to honor your design or ignore it, to operate in your gifts or settle for mediocrity, to embrace responsibility or avoid it. And the consequences of those choices compound, because choosing to act on your purpose accelerates growth, impact, and fulfillment. And choosing to ignore it delays, diminishes, and frustrates your potential. Purpose also requires patience because your mission is not completed overnight. It is built moment by moment, decision by decision, habit by habit. And consistency in pursuing what you were created for builds momentum that eventually produces results. But impatience will make you quit too soon, settle for less, and miss the opportunity to fully step into what you were made to do. Your responsibility is not just for yourself. It is for the people you influence, the people you inspire, the communities you impact, and the generations that will come after you. Because the mission inside you is bigger than your own life. It is meant to ripple outward. It is meant to create change that cannot be contained. And the world needs you to answer the call. Faith, discipline, focus, courage, and perseverance are not optional on this journey. They are essential because purpose will stretch you, pressure you, test you, and demand everything you have. And if you are unwilling to develop these qualities, you will falter under the weight of what you were created to carry. But if you embrace them, you will rise into a life that is meaningful, impactful, and extraordinary. The very fact that you are here, alive, aware, and breathing is proof that you were not created by accident, that you have the potential to fulfill your purpose, that responsibility is yours to claim, and that the mission within you is waiting to be executed. And it is up to you whether you rise to it, step into it, and honor it fully.